So the name and the band, well, the band started really before even the band was formed as a band. Ken and I had been working together for many years, for a few years, 89 to like 93. That's when we sort of, I think 92 is when we did our very first track, but it never came out. And that was under the Crystal Method. And the name basically was a name that a friend of ours who was a rapper we were working with, he just said the name in reference to a mode of transportation. So both of our cars literally were being towed earlier that day. In reference to how we were going to be going out that night, the rapper said, "Oh, the Crystal Method," referring to the name of our ride, a girl named Crystal who was a friend of Ken. So, you know, it was one of those things, just like with the album, The Trip Home, you know, everything came together at that moment. I heard the words, we wrote it down. We had a bunch of different titles, a couple different names that, you know, but the Crystal Method just roll off the tongue, if you will.
Can you believe Vegas is 21 years old? What a beautiful, beautiful baby that bad boy grew up to be. This is Favorite Trail. And my name is Scott Kirkland, and I am the Crystal Method.
I think Vegas resonates with people because, first of all, it's a great album. I mean, I don't say that with some sort of arrogance or some sort of, you know, in a pompous way. I just think it's one of those albums that resonated with people. I think it's shaped well. I think the sequencing is great. I think it also is almost like a first love. You almost like that first crush. That people found their way to electronic music through that album, and I think that is sort of a, you know, like a moment in their life that meant something to them, and they bring that forward. And yeah, I'm super excited that people still, you know, love it, and I get that great reaction when I play tracks from it. Well, first of all, the term EDM is only about as old as, I think my daughter is older than the term, and she's only 10. So the term EDM, I think, is almost like a marketing. It helps bring a lot of stuff together because there was a lot of, you know, different genres, different layers of it. You know, you had all the IDM, the electronic music, the electronica, the big beat, you have jungle, drum and bass, electro, you know, techno, you know, all these different things, and the EDM sort of is a nice way to sort of categorize all of it. But in a way, it also, as someone who, you know, was around doing stuff for so much longer, it becomes, you know, there's something you can, you know, fight with or just accept. So obviously I haven't really fully accepted it yet. but our sound has evolved through the years. You know, I think our main goal when we made Vegas was make something that was unique to us, something we really liked. And then when we got done touring, and 2 or 3 years of touring, and, you know, had been around the world, played a lot of those songs from Vegas over and over again, and I didn't want to do another Vegas album, so we went in and we did Tweakin', which was a completely different record, much more, you know, rock elements in there. It had Scott Weiland on there, Tom Morello, of course, Ryu from Styles of Beyond. So there was a DJ Swamp. There's a bunch of the different infusion of our things that we loved. And growing up, I loved heavy metal, you know, hip hop, and, you know, that combined all that together. Legion of Boom was, you know, we couldn't do that same album again, so we wanted to do a different album, and we continue to evolve moving forward. This new album, The Trip Home, is really a a convergence of all of the first 10 years of our existence sort of pulled together. I went back and since Ken retired about 2 years ago, I decided to go back in and I went through all of the DATs, the digital recordings of all the different versions of Vegas, all the little outtakes. I mean, I really dug into what we did back in those days, and so I wanted to get rid of the idea of doing everything in the box. I wanted to make an album that was organic, that was kind of a classic album with a classic sound like Vegas, and so I didn't want to do. I mean, I was almost anti EDM in the sense that EDM is very big. It's like if you were, every day you went to, the park, and some days you wanted to just sit back with your friends and listen to some music and crack a couple beers and just chill out. But every day the EDM party machine was only like 2 or 3 tables down. So I mean, and so you're just kind of like, you look over and you see everybody's young and everybody's having a great time, and you can appreciate that freedom and that the spiritual connection with something, because I had it when I was a kid, when I was going to raves when I was 19, 20 years old. So I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I just wanted to make an album that spoke to where Crystal Method came from, what we're about as a band. Go back to visit some of the techniques that we used in Vegas and tweak in, and really, just go against the grain a little bit. Not try to compete with everybody else. Do what I do best. So I got my friends Glenn Nichols and La Castlevania and my good friend Tobias Enhus, who does a lot of scoring stuff. We went in and we crafted an album that I think is a real sort of an homage to a warmer, more, sort of controlled, but also patient. There's a moment when you realize that everything nowadays everything has to be big and in your face, and like sometimes you want music to not take you to the party. Sometimes you want the music just to take you someplace that's different from where you are, and that isn't always something that's bombastic and over the top. Sometimes you just want to go someplace where you can just find your groove, and also become kind of open to not only what you're hearing, but open to the thoughts and memories that music evokes. And so I wanted to evoke that kind of nostalgia, lots of big breathy openings and dynamics, and and not a record that's when you look at it digitally, it's not just one giant sausage. It's complex, and it's diverse, and it's dynamic, and it's got a lot of headroom.
This is a new one from the album The Trip Home. This one features Matt Lang and my mate Justin Chancellor. This is Cabin Pressure.
The name The Trip Home came about. I've been touring a lot, coming back in a weekend. I was sitting, got back from 2 or 3 days of 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 different flights, 3 or 4 different cities, and I was going reviewing what the weekend was to my wife Brandy, and I just said the words The Trip Home, and I just it's again just like the album, just like the band title, the Crystal Method. As soon as I said it, I was like, wow, that's really kind of sexy. It's simple. It evokes something from the past, the sort of nostalgia of the Crystal Method, and I really, from what material that we had up to that point, it really fit. So I wanted to create an album that evoked travel and distance, and and that sort of battle between good and evil, and so I really embraced the title, and then I have a new album. See, you're used to 4 years gaps between Crystal Method albums. The new album, The Trip Out, part of the Trip series. See, it will be coming out next year. So, yeah, to me it was just the perfect title for the perfect time. Well, as your grandpa told you before, you youngsters, first of all, turn it down a little bit. No, find your own sound, because a lot of people just want to get up and they just want to DJ because they just want, they see that thing, which is a very exciting thing. I love DJing. I think it's, for me, it's a way for me to ride my ADD. I've got 3 or 4 decks. I've got all the music that I really like, that really means something to me. And then, I get a new group of people in front of me every night, new challenges and different sound and different venues. But I first thing you gotta do, make music. It's really, you just going to DJing exclusively without making music is a difficult place, because you really need to combine the music that you make and you love with then the experience of going and DJing. So EDM artists, electronic artists, people that like to make music with technology, make it personal, make it mean something to you, make it special, and then sell it by going out every night and being as passionate a promoter of what you're doing as anybody has ever seen. No, tonight's going to be fun. I love coming to Houston as a unique venue. I haven't been here before, so no matter what, this is my saying is, I can't control who's not here. I can only take care of the people who are here. So with that mindset, I'm going to have a good time. People hopefully will have a great time with me, and everybody will leave with a smile on their face.